Morning, everybody. Welcome to the AI Meetup. Hey. Tim May, I'm the host of the Meetup, and we're going to be having Tony Benton talk today. So with that said, Tony,
thank you.
Turn it over to you.
Thank you, sir. All right. Thank you guys for having me. Has anybody been having fun with actually the new ChatGPT image generation? Yeah, I think for me, it's like the biggest breakthrough that we've been looking. We're humans. We like that we can all become an artist, you know, do a comic strip, do all these cool things. So I've been having a lot of fun with the AI generation. But today, of course, we're going to get into AI agents, though, right? Because of course, you know, a lot of people have actually the number one reason AI is being used is for personal use, for therapy, and that's where the mass emergence of AI is starting to be used. I still think one of the most underlying is AI being used in a business environment, right? You know, which is why we still have a huge gap of where the promise is versus what you're getting in your production environment. So, you know, we'll go through that. But first, I want to definitely start off with just a little bit of my journey, who I am, why it matters, why you maybe want to hear from me. You know, my journey was in tech. I'm sure all you guys know who that famous guy is. He's probably ran hundreds of millions of dollars in ads. So that's how I got started, was learning from him. And if you guys don't know, he doesn't teach his courses. He goes out and he finds the best minds in the world to get these people, right? So back in 2018, 2019, you know, this is when I started getting into digital marketing, wanting to just understand, you know, websites, social media, all of this technology realm, right? I was blessed enough that one of the first clients I was ever able to land was here in Vegas. And they were called, it was a thing called the Sam Show. So it was like TED Talk, but for entrepreneurs. If a lot of you don't know, Jay Abraham was actually one of the main speakers at that event, who I did get a chance to meet and talk to. But that wasn't the secret sauce. There was actually somebody that was in Tai Lopez's course. To me, that was probably the most significant teacher. And this gentleman went on to teach hundreds of thousands of students, multiple agency owners. And I befriended this gentleman, and I was able to get into his mastermind, you know, start taking one-on-one training from him and take my business to a whole new level where I could get around with other agency owners and really understand the nuances of how to get results in a business at the end of the day, right? Because a business is only going to pay you so long as they see the value of what you're producing, right? So that's always been my focus and forte for businesses is how are you going to get a return on every dollar that you're spending, right? Advertising budgets, that's where, of course, my specialty started to come. SEO is why I joke with Tim about this. I'm like, I'm not a coder, no code, right? My level of code is, hey, we're gonna install this pixel on your website, and I'm gonna fix the H tags and the meta description, right? You know, do the SEO stuff. And now you can do that with AI, right? It's insane. But this was my journey into marketing, right? Into where, you know, as also an early user in, you know, things like Integromat at the time, which is now Make. Everybody uses that. You know, I was using Zapier and a lot of these no-code tools to kind of get the job done for people, right? Whereas I actually was able to land largest karaoke bar in the world through advancing my skills, getting in these communities, get up to a six-figure agency within 1 year of launching my agency. And then also getting able to work with, I don't know if you guys know this, but Jeffrey Gitomer's OG, like a Little Red Book of Selling, like one of the classic salespersons, right? One-on-one mentorship, private masterminds. So just seeing my journey through technology into where I have this emergence of seeing, okay, automation and AI, of course, I knew that there was going to be a merriment. And so that's where our team went crazy and wanted to just do that, right? And so we'll get into more specifics on how we've helped, you know, whether it be in real estate, e-commerce, industry specific, right? But kind of generalized for all you guys so that you can take some of the tips that we've helped with businesses and see some of the things that we'll go through. So AI and the wild, I like to call it, right? AI promises transformation but delivers frustration when poorly implemented. So the reality is stark. And as I said, according to Gartner, 85% of AI projects fail to deliver on their promises, while McKinsey reports only 22% reach production. Success demands collaboration between technical teams and the business stakeholders. So a lot of issues I'm sure we know is like the data is not accurate, it's not what you're needing, or it's all over the place. Having inaccurate, bad infrastructure, right? Kind of trying to fix all these wires that are, crossing. Having these models drift over time and scale environments, you just can't do that, right? That's why a lot of businesses like, yeah, if I'm gonna go help it write my email or do these little things, but I'm not gonna let it talk to my customer, conduct a sale and a transaction, like we don't trust it to do that yet. But yet we are letting our AI do that for our customers, right? And so, just poor overall quality leads to just unreliable communication at the end of the day. Where our team has really shined is in the voice space, which is another big, massive thing that I think a lot of businesses, that's what you need in order to get it into production. The same way I'm talking to you and expressing myself, you need to have your sales team or your customer support be your AI. Because honestly, 24/7, 365, every single interaction is cheery and the best that you could imagine, right? And so these are the things that you're able to quickly put in, but this is what you need to focus on. To me, and we all know this, data is king, right? And so where is your models being trained on? What is your proprietary data that other people don't have, right? And so for instance, each industry specific has their own nuances. We work with home services as another great example. I personally don't know all of the ins and outs of people coming in, getting the roof fixed, sending out the quotes. Like there's a lot of moving parts to a business like that, right? And so a lot of touch points and data to where you have to have the quality, cleaning, governance, and monitoring. Because now pretty much all AI is just a talking database. It's your database that sits and can tell you what you want to hear and based off the information that it's queried, right? And so no better way for us to have these interactions. So if somebody calls, hey, I have a question about this on my case, we forget that it probably takes a human 5 to 10 minutes just to look up the information, gather all these details, whereas instantaneously the AI is like, yep, this is what your information is, right? And so in production and scale, where, it's in home services specifically, like where they're having maybe 10, 20-minute conversations, their KPI measurement is, hey, any conversation that goes over 3 minutes, we're losing money, right? And so you can understand that if you have a machine that's constantly pushing against its parameters saying, hey, I can't go over 3 minutes, I have to have all these things met. Like humans, even us, we struggle with, I have to remember this, I have to, in the process of communication, but these machines don't, right? If you set them up properly, you have the right data streaming, and the last part for me where I'm gonna touch in, the quality of what is coming into the AI. I think this is the most underlooked thing for AI, because there's a famous saying, garbage in equals garbage out, right? And so for us, like people don't even know. They're like, okay, well, for instance, if I want to go talk to a voice chatbot and it speak to me, you need 2 different systems running simultaneously. You need the system that can gather every single thing that's being spoken to it at the same time, a good sounding voice that maybe doesn't sound robotic, right? And so these are 2 differently stark systems. They're not one and the same. And so people don't even understand when they're building some of these things. They might on the surface look like, oh, it's easy. It's just AI. You just plug it into this, go to 11 Labs, have a voice. It doesn't work that way, right? Especially when we put it into a lot of these production environments where if I'm like for instance, I have a real estate license. A lot of these realtors are out in the field, they're driving, noisy environments, right? The AI can't picture and catch what they're telling it, then they're never gonna get the output of what they're doing. So this is why our team religiously focuses on what the input is. We've partnered with a university in Cambridge that is the leading speech-to-text provider. So we understood, hey, if we can get the best input to where, of course it's never perfect, but if it's better than Google, Microsoft, all these other guys, then no matter what they're pushing on the outside, we understand that we have our access saying, hey, we're hearing words better than your AI could ever hear. So that leads to better understanding, which leads to better results, right? And some metrics, like for speech to text, you want to have word error rates less than 5%. So a lot of these metrics people don't even know. If you want to go to these providers, Assembly, a Deepgram, you name it, right? A lot of these guys don't have quality enough of, maybe in English they do, but as soon as you hit another language, you're already going to massive word errors and how it sounds. And it's such a nuanced thing, right? Because there's even though I'm a pro AI, there's no one brush that can just stroke and say, okay, solves all my solutions, right? Especially for regions and languages and certain things really start to get hairy. And that's why you have to have like a fluency of scores of 0.85% for production grade systems on its NLP understanding of whatever language it's coming into it. And then of course, having your improvement on domain specific tuning, right? So every single interaction that it's having, or you train it on, if you have sales calls and meetings and you say, hey, this is how you're going to be trained to have every interaction, right? This is where a lot of amazing products have come out now. So we partner also with an evaluation company, right? So think about like self-driving cars, right, where they always have to autocorrect and kind of evaluate as it's going on, right, and run these simulations. So we partner with a company like that. So because the AI has to be very finite and, okay, I'm very task-driven, oriented, and I understand what's being thrown in front of me right now. I have to swerve out of the way, right, like a self-driving car. And so if we look at how self-driving cars have been implemented, this is how a lot of AI is being implemented today, right? Because some of the best minds in the world have come and said, hey, here's how to help your AI in production environments. Because in order to do that, we never know what's going to get thrown in front of it. And so these evaluations and these simulations that are constantly running in the background as it's interacting with your customers is another huge thing that I think businesses don't realize has to be put into the technology. And again, like I said, for us, a lot of it's voice, so that's why it's different. If you guys aren't focused on voice, you aren't focused on, hey, this is actually going to start running my business for me as like an employee, then a lot of these things, maybe don't as correlate as much, because I'm coming from the understanding that, hey, you're going to let this make decisions for your company, right? And so this is just a model optimization, right? So the biggest thing, like I said, is understanding first what is going to be the specific model you're going to use for the specific situation, right? So GPT is better, Claude's better. We all know in certain situations when to use which. They've all made themselves like, okay, well, we don't need to build another one, right? You can go out, you can just say, okay, in Japanese, this model shows that it's doing better, so I'm going to use it for that. Some of you may not be doing international business, but these are metrics that we have to look at because we do a lot of international business, that which model is performing better versus this language, or even the industry specific, right? Some are better for coding, some are better for, just writing, right? And so you start to have to be able to build that in the system and say, when this happens, this is the most efficient model that's going to be ran, or a model that kind of governs all the models, right? I'm sure a lot of people have seen things like Crew AI and some of these other, like Google's, a lot of pushes, right? Where it's like AI workers, and it has an AI kind of monitoring all the different tasks. And so our team's built and understood that this is where things were going to be going for the past year. And it's just glad to, see the bigger guys confirming it, right? And so I don't have to sit here and like, just look what Google's doing, And then again, going through testing the frameworks, right? I'm a marketer, so as everybody tells you guarantee, they're lying. You have to split test everything. Everything has to go through a litmus test, because you never know what's going to happen until you put it in production, right? And so again, don't get too caught up. Like, you test different models constantly. That's why these evaluations are amazing platforms, because my AI can have thousands of conversations simultaneously through an evaluation, right? It's almost like the Marvel movie when Doctor Strange can kind of go and just see all the different variations of what could happen, right? That's the AI is doing as it's having the conversation, which is just incredible. And then again, going through the task, the latency that's needed. There's so many nuances of, hey, like we could make the latency faster, but it has to sound like a human conversation too. So I can't cut in faster than when you're not finished speaking. So there's so many things in how our teams like engineered this into understanding, like, hey, this has to be fluid, almost like you're talking to a person, to put into any type of production environment. And some of the big things that have been pushed out recently to, generalize, making it industry standard, is the MCP, the Model Context Protocol. So Anthropic has made it a lot easier for a lot of individuals to not have to learn, have to reinvent the wheel, reinvent the systems. Because a big issue was also, how can my AI communicate with all of these other systems, right? There was no universal language that's been created yet, right? And so now we had to wait until one of these big guys is saying, hey, now we have OpenAI that's adopted MCP as a protocol. And so these are things that say, hey, you don't need to know what you don't know. This is new to everybody, right? This just is a recent thing, development. Find a way to implement this system into your systems, because you can have developers help you set up a server, and now your AI can universally communicate with any system that it interacts with, right? And so this was another massive shift in the movement of production, right? Because for us, we were doing simple function calling before, where it's like, hey, when this happens, call this, and it doesn't work efficiently, right? For us, we might be able to do it, but then I have to go in and rebuild it all over again for somebody else. And so now when industry standards like this come out, it helps us, it helps so many people streamline, and hey, we're all now speaking the same language as far as what our AIs can communicate to each other. And so this is just, again, a big industry standard. I'd say keep an eye out, because it is here to stay, I believe. And then, just going through monitoring and maintenance to prevent your models from drifting. Again, as I said, having these evaluations that are constantly running simultaneously as the agents are being ran. That way it's tracking all of the metrics, understanding where things go wrong. We analyze sentiment, we analyze latency, everything, right? Every single measurement has to be properly monitored and saying, hey, it's going over 3 minutes, or the client is starting to get upset, Mayday, bring a human in, right? There's so many ways to where you can help. Hey, even the model itself, you can put it to where if it's having a hard time feeling like it's understanding what the person's communicating, oh, let me get a person for you actually, right? And so these are ways that you can help make sure your production environments are more streamlined, so that, of course, you're not gonna just completely rely on the AI. That's not what the case is here. And then being able to obviously early detect, diagnose, and update all of these things with a click, or being brought in as a human in the loop. And then, just having collaboration, I think, is the biggest thing. So for us, like as a tech company, like I said, I don't know a lot about home services. I don't know a lot about what attorneys' day-to-days are, right? And so have a bit of both. If you are a technology person, you go into each domain-specific person and you leverage your understanding and skills of technology with their 20, 30-year experience to create what is actually a production valued product for the marketplace, right? Because this is how we can start effectively making these AI projects go into production. Because right now you have the developers saying, oh yeah, I can do that, I promise, we got it. Or trust me, I've been on many teams, right? The overpromise and underdeliver. And then when the delivery comes, it's not meeting the expectations of what the client wanted in the end state, right? And so it has to constantly be the merriment of, knowing this is what exactly the business is wanting and how we're able to facilitate that through technology, right? And of course, there's so many no-code tools out there now, like Vector Shift, Make, Manus, which is, I love Manus, which I'll give you guys a code actually. If you stick around at the end, I'll give an invite code out to somebody. But yeah, like I said, just having a lot of feedback on your systems being put into these environments, having the domain-specific knowledge. And I don't have internet, so give me one sec. And I just want to show a quick demo of, again, this is very sandbox, right? Just kind of an idea of what our team did as far as a domain-specific AI agent that we had built. Give me one sec. There we go. All right. Audio just doesn't, it's fine.
Go through the team.
Hello, this is Via Group. My name is John. How can I help you today?
Hi, John. I saw your flyer in South Beach. It said you list homes for sale. Is that correct?
We sure do. What's your name so I know who I'm talking to?
My name is Jeff Smith. Jeff is spelled as Geoff.
Cool. Got it, Jeff. What's your email address?
It is jeffsmith@me.com.
Is the property currently listed?
No, it's not.
Okay, what kind of property is it? House, townhouse, or condo?
It's a house.
And where is it located?
1116 Ocean Drive, Miami Beach.
Perfect. That's in the zip code 33139, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Awesome. I can see from Zillow it's 5,000 square feet, 6 rooms and 5 baths, right?
That is correct.
Great. When's a good time next week to meet for the walkthrough? Are you available Sunday?
No, I go to church on Sundays. How about Monday at 12 p.m.?
I'm actually busy at that time. How about Tuesday at noon, Wednesday at 10 a.m. or Thursday any time after 1 p.m.?
Wednesday at 10 a.m. is fine.
Hey, honey.
Ah, a mystery guest. Could that be your lovely partner, perhaps?
Absolutely, you got it.
Hello there. Lovely to meet you. How are you today?
Great, how are you?
I'm doing splendidly, thank you.
Yeah, I want to save that last little part in there. So a really cool feature that our team has is voice recognition. I think in production environments in voice, like say you're going through the drive-through and then the kid from the back's like, no, I want extra fries. The AI is not going to know if it's the kid talking, if it's the adult talking. Something so cool is, oh, no. The AI is going to know that's a separate voice that came in and started asking, and it confirms, are you sure you wanted to add that? This was a different voice. Certain things like that are so powerful that businesses like us are giving the power. Multiple. We can have up to 50 different speakers in a conversation because we measure the wavelengths and how our voices sound, and it's amazing technology. And so I'd love, to definitely chat more with you guys about that. I'll finish this out with this last part. And then, there's a QR code if you guys want a free code to Manus and to see a really cool agentic AI working for you guys. I've loved it. It's been like, I don't need a developer now when I have that. So, but yeah, definitely scan that QR code if you guys would like. Just a last kind of overview of everything we went over. Assess your data foundation, make sure that you have quality data, it's current, accessible, reliable governance. That's what forms your AI foundation. Building quality and providing value is the most important thing. Like I say, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something, right? We've learned even with language, you can't have one AI be able to speak every single language. It just doesn't work like that. Even in that, you have to have bilingual. We have an English and Spanish AI that can go back and forth because the languages overcross so much, right? And so, quality is such a pivotal thing for a business in providing the best service you possibly can, right? And then last thing, have cross-functional teams, right? Combining technical expertise with domain knowledge, and success does require both perspectives. So thank you guys for allowing me to share, and I'd love to take any questions. So.
Did you use Manus to create that listing agent assistant? Oh, okay. What did you use?
Hard labor, honestly. No, we have some pretty talented developers on our team that, and some of the best minds I've ever come across to be able to do I'm not a developer, I'm not a coder, so I needed to go find some great technical people to help. I said, here's my vision, here's what I want. And this is before Manus, it was even on the scene, popped up. And now I'd be like, man, I could have saved a lot of money. But no, yeah, we did it ourselves.
So now you could use Manus.
Now we could, yes.
Anybody else?
Agents are quickly becoming, a dime a dozen. And as we've seen the models gain dramatic capability without really any intent by the model developers, just as the data set and horsepower thrown at the models has increased, such as their ability to understand multiple languages that they just inferred from their data sets. How do you, being in the market for agents, how are you going to stay competitive as the capabilities of off-the-shelf agents just dramatically expand as these foundational model vendors retrain against larger and larger data sets?
Yeah, no, that's honestly a really good question because most data sets out there that they're training on are open source. So the secret is to get private, undisclosed data that nobody else has access to. So we've partnered with Cambridge University Research Lab, where they have millions of hours of scientists going in and confirming this for us so that my team can sleep at night knowing, okay, OpenAI is not going to just slap a new update and say it's taking all of these tools and this is even Sam Altman said this thing. He's like, the next big wave is taking all of this talent, bringing it in this middle layer, which our team has developed, right? And to contextually understand whatever you throw at it in a situation and give you relevant information, right? I think a lot of AI still struggles with that, whereas, because of our experience too, as, hey, we've already had millions of hours of our AI going out in production, that's very hard to compete with because if a company comes in, starts up, they have to catch up to the millions of hours that we've already established, you know what I mean? And so that's another way is constantly as we grow, it's harder for new companies to come in with that much experience that we've already developed, so.
So follow on then, are you using your own model then trained on that data? Or
No,
are you
we're not.
fine-tuning on other models or using
We're
combination
fine-tuning models, yes sir, we're fine-tuning models.
And
I would love to build my own, but I don't think, China showed us you don't
Okay,
have to.
I found fine-tuning to be good for instructional, less good for just adding more proprietary data. So how are you doing that?
I'm not a developer. I know a lot of like how we're training our models. We're okay. We're willing to say because we're not giving, for instance, the speech to text. That's technically a separate model. We're not using OpenAI. We're using our proprietary speech to text, right? So even though we're feeding information to maybe get like, hey, I need you to do this or do that using another LLM, our proprietary of the data we're inputting and gathering and then dishing out it's still almost like a handoff. They're not looking into everything as far as we're just giving them what we want to give them. We keep everything. Like for instance, if we're working in a medical, we have to there's an amazing platform where it'll turn off what the AI is understanding and recording for the data because it's so regulated, and then be able to still produce because it has to be HIPAA compliant, SOC compliant, all that, right? And so that's another great question. So thanks.
Well, you beat my question because that's where I was going to ask. Like the AI agent working in a sales environment is different than a compliance environment. Mm-hmm. So then my question was, do you run into issues where businesses can't apply it because the information is too personal, so it'll block out even the purpose of having it? Yeah, so that we have to use a third party for that. So there's a third party that will stream the information and data and know like, hey, is credit card information coming? Is like social security number, health, stuff like that. These are things that obviously we can't even hold on to or keep, right? And so we have a third party come in, keep us to where when that information is being streamed in, we're not saving it. It's not going to anywhere. As it's coming in, it's just mentioning it and destroying it as it's at the same time, right? Because to your point, that is a big thing, right? If you're in banking, if you're in hospitals, if you're in all these other places, you can't. Compliance is different than just sales, right? And so the biggest other thing too is having other systems that allow you to stay compliant, to stay SOC compliant, HIPAA compliant, and how you're streaming the data is pivotal.
Getting my exercise.
Hi. My question is, how were you able to obtain the relationship with Cambridge? Because most universities, they want to, take ownership of certain, ideas or projects.
Yeah, great question. I didn't bridge that. Our developer had found it, right? And so we had approached them to say, hey, you guys have an amazing speech-to-text technology. Let's partner, right? Because they only did one function of it. But we said, with that, we can create the best voice interaction with an agent, right? Just by having the best input. And so we went to them. We were able to sign an exclusive agreement to where because it's not just the university. Though the IP is held with the university, it's still a brand within the university, and that we said, hey, we'll partner. We're going to provide this as our service. To where now it's amazing. We have an exclusive partnership. Somebody else can't just come jump over us and try to reinvent everything that our team's built. So I'd say partnerships like that, where you can gain access to other providers and access that nobody else gets access to. You can't just say, oh, I can just go use Manus and go get the same thing and just recreate everything you did, right? Yeah. These exclusive partnerships are pivotal, and just meeting the right stakeholders, going to the people. And so I don't even know how that one happened. I'd say my other team helped kind of really push for that, so. No questions. All right, guys. So I'm going to be sending out, if you guys signed up, we have a couple codes, so I'll definitely be sharing that with the winner. I might even actually have the AI help me choose it really quick if there's no more questions, because I can see who all. Hey Humphrey, I'm here.
Good day. How may I assist you today?
I'm here at Tech Alley. I need you to spare me some time, maybe tell a cool, fun joke to the AI community here, and just talk about how awesome you are.
Tech Alley. Sounds like a splendid place to be. Here's a light-hearted joke for the AI community. Why did the computer go to therapy? Because it had too many bytes and couldn't process its feelings. As for me, I'm an example of flow usage, part of Speechmatics.
So this guy is like my favorite anything, right? Because I come in, I'll even say, watch. Humphrey, I'm about to go to Bangkok in a few months. I need to know some advice on things to do there. What's the weather going to be like?
Just having a quick search for you now. Bangkok in July 2025 is expected to be hot and humid, with temperatures ranging from 25 to 33 degrees Celsius. There will be significant rainfall over 17 to 18 days, but also around 6 hours of sunshine per day. Do take precautions against the high UV index. Would you like some advice on things to do while you're there?
Yeah.
Bangkok offers a wealth of activities and sights to enjoy. You might want to explore the Grand Palace, which is a stunning historical site, or visit the
How would I
Watermelon
say
Temple,
hello
the bustling
in Thai?
In Thai, you can say hello by saying sawasdi. If you're a male, you would say sawasdi krap, and if you're a female, you would say sawasdi ka.
Okay, thank you. So a quick little example. Thank you guys. Thank you. All right, hopefully everybody signed. I'll do last thing. I'll choose a winner really quick while we're here, and then I'll send an email out to one more winner. Anybody else want to scan the code? Free code to Manus? Good? All right. Last part. Hey.
Good day to you. How may I assist you today?
Humphrey, can you pick a number between 1 to 10?
Let me see. I'll go with number 7.
Number 7, thank you. And the winner is Rob Yeoman.
What's up? What do I have to do?
I got you. I'll send you an email after this. So you're the winner. You got a free code to Manus, brother.
Excellent.
Yes, sir. So thank you guys. Appreciate your time. Look forward to it.
Thank you so much, Tony. So that's it for today. We have lunch.